I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is life as process. So we're enculturated to look at product, at results, and to view our lives in terms, or the value of our lives, even in terms of the results we produce, the impact we make. And today, we're just going to look at the value of experiencing life as process, experiencing the moments of life. In other words, living life and the value inherent to that. So, before we get started, we're going to take a minute or two to get present. We're going to take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, any remaining stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling as you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so good to be here with you this morning. And welcome, Rosalind, and welcome, Isabel. How wonderful to have you joining us this morning. And so, today we're talking about life as process rather than product. And we're enculturated to be so goal oriented, right? To be outcome oriented. And I was in sales for a bunch of years, and it was like you're only as good as your next sale. And we are enculturated to assess our value based on externalities, based on what we produce in the world, how much we have, how much we acquire, what we accomplish. And that's how we determine worthiness and our value, rather than recognizing that we have intrinsic value, that we are worthy of being here just by virtue of the fact that we're here. And that life in our relentless pursuit of an outcome, we often miss the experience of life in its richness, of really just allowing ourselves to live life. And that's I think it's a virtue in and of itself that we get to cultivate and incorporate in ourselves and in our way of being, so that we can actually create a better world. It's a race to achievement and more, and more, better, bigger, that has shaped our rapaciousness in the world, that has shaped our consumer attitude toward nature, even. We've been cultivated, deliberately cultivated as consumers. And if you think about that, it's like parasites in a way, that we have been conditioned to consume. And part of that consuming is more. And in our constant quest for more, it breeds a lack of appreciation for what's present and what even what we already have, to be savoring and enjoying. And the more I've seen in life, the more I've learned, the more I recognize the importance of just being, of just being present, of just being alive, connected to life and to nature, and to be connected to other people and other beings and our experience, our actual experience, to be connected to our bodies, to our emotions, to the experience, the richness of the experience of living. And interestingly, not quite sure how this fits in, but I think it does. I was doing a session with this remarkable person yesterday, and they were talking about not really feeling at home here on Earth, not really feeling like this was a place of belonging, and feeling the burden, the heaviness of their body. And we did this visualization, and they connected to their beingness as originating in the stars, in the cosmos, some elsewhere place. And in allowing themselves to breathe in the energy of whatever that space was, and to use their breath with this metallic, shiny, sparkly blue, almost black rock that appeared to them in their visualization, as they breathed in that energy and allowed it to infuse their body. What they experienced was a greater grounding, was a greater solidity, was a greater unity with this physicalness, this physical form that we reside in here, that can feel so awkward to so many of us, and often painful and uncomfortable, discomforting. And so to find a way to find balance in our bodies, whether it's breathing in colors, breathing in light, breathing in oxygen, breathing in life, the vitality that's available to us, the experience of our physicality can be something truly delicious. And the experience of our senses in and of itself is rather miraculous. To be able to smell something, to taste something, just to feel what it feels like to swallow, to feel the sensation of skin against skin or skin against anything else, to feel the breeze, to be able to speak, to hear. These are such things that we take for granted in order to live our lives, when they are the very foundation of living, and we ignore them so often. I had a wonderful conversation the other day with this magnificent young woman who was talking about how just walking outside for a while, the way they expressed it is, I felt like I was tripping, just walking in nature and observing the wonder around us, to experience the magic. And this is process at its most foundational level, right? To be living life as process. In other words, to be living it in the moment, and to see this moment as part of a flow of larger moments. And also to recognize our unfolding as process. Like we're so often driven to get somewhere. When I get to that place, then I will enjoy life, or then I'll feel good. When I get there, I'll feel good. Well, what about feeling good now on the way there, wherever there may be? And I don't know about you, but I can look back on my life and see so many different iterations of myself, so many different expressions and um, behaviors and beliefs and perspectives that have shifted so much over the years, not the least of which are perspectives on myself, beliefs about myself, beliefs about what's important, beliefs about the nature of life and being. And there's so many transformations that have occurred throughout this emergence and evolution of life that we all get to experience over time. And recognizing life as process, I think, enables us to connect to its foundational place of change, that's the one constant is change. Rosalind says, is this related to identity? Who's doing the processing? I love that question, Rosalind. Thank you. So I think it is very much related to identity, because we so often relate to ourselves as some kind of fixed entity rather than an unfolding process and an evolution, an ongoing evolution. Rosalind says, when someone feels stuck, like nothing is happening, where does one look closer? Well, interesting. I think I want to keep talking about this notion of identity, but to address the question that you pose about where does one look more closely, we can just look at our own evolution, where even just the transformation of our physicalness, we can look at to see, oh my gosh, there's such change. We started out in a womb and then as toddlers, and just looking at life over time, looking at nature, looking at the seasons, we can recognize that there's change. And so recognizing that there's change inherently can support us in becoming unstuck when we recognize that change is constant. And so when we go back to identity, how can we have a solid notion of identity that doesn't recognize change? So this was a question that I've engaged in quite a lot, is what is identity and who am I? And the working um, working definition, or the working hypothesis for me, is who I am is life expressing itself through this unique vessel that I am. And so this unique vessel is changing and morphing, and there are some inherent characteristics that make this vessel unique. The drives, the curiosities, the talents, the foibles, the passions that are part of whatever the essential expression is of this vessel, the physicalness of it, the all the details of it, life expressing itself. And there's such a profound freedom in that perspective for me, because it means that I serve life, that I am actually an animate expression of something much greater than myself, or the limited identity that I might craft for myself. That it gives me access to something that calls me beyond the limits that I may perceive for myself, because I'm in service to life. And so that calls me forward. That calls me into fuller expression, and fuller expression because life has myriad expressions. So while while this vessel has certain preferences and skills and talents, I'm not bound when I can allow myself to be an expression of life. Like life feels like skipping right now, or singing, or dancing, or being silly. And I, as an ego-based being, don't need to be so attached to all of that when I recognize that who I am is life in its expression. So I wonder how that lands for you. What does that feel like? How does it feel different in your experience as you try on, if you're willing to, the notion that who we are is life expressing itself? And I think, for me anyway, it cultivates a different sensibility, because it connects me to the rest of life, and to a greater reverence and relationship with life as I step out of this apparently limited shell. This at least it we interpret ourselves in some way as finite, right? That our physical form is finite and bounded by all kinds of constraints. But when we become an expression of life, the boundaries of the physical blend into the greater experience of the vastness of life itself. At least that's what's occurring for me as I deepen into this practice and lens, this perception, this discipline for me too, actually, to be experiencing life in that way. That, oh, this is life expressing itself, and you are life expressing itself, and they are life expressing itself, and we're all doing that. All beings, all matter, all energy is life expressing itself in this greater animate, intelligent universe. And the I that I am becomes less significant in that process. It becomes less and more significant all at the same time, because each of us is bringing our uniqueness. So Rosalind says, the practice helps to separate and become aware of triggers and reactivity and inner dialogue. So I agree, it allows us to become witness and not take all of it so personally, even our reactivity. We don't have to take it so personally because we're an expression of something else. We don't have to make it as damning as it might be when we behave in ways that we don't prefer. We can maybe be able to be witness and say, oh wow, I'm sorry, that's not what I intended, and that's not actually in alignment with whatever's going on. Or it gives, if we can recognize that life is process, we can modify, we can correct. Not that there's a right and a wrong that's an absolute, but that we can course correct, we can adjust, we can be in the process of our becoming, that we don't have to be so identified with our thoughts, our behaviors, our emotions. We can experience them as experiences in a greater context. And there's a lot of freedom in that, relieving the pressure of that, and the notion that we have to be perfect. Where rather than I have to do it right, well, we get to evolve, to learn, to change, to grow, to expand our experience, to expand our knowledge, to become more authentically expressed. That we can recognize our quote unquote failures and faults, and modify and learn from that and evolve from that. which is pretty wonderful and pretty invigorating. It's enlivening to allow ourselves to say that there's change, that we can embrace that change, we can embrace the unknown, we can recognize ourselves as an unknown as well, where we're constantly discovering who we are and how we express and what brings us joy and satisfaction and fulfillment and all that good stuff. So the invitation is to actively engage in the process of our becoming. And we don't know what the end product of that is, but we're in our becoming. And so that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network. And Rosalind says, expand to include. Exactly. Expand to include all of it. So I invite you to please like, follow, and share the Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it is a privilege and a pleasure to have the opportunity to share these musings together on life, meaning, and being human. So until next time, so much love to you.